there from down around Washington, D.C. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Glendora. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Oh, that's so nice. I would like to have you tell us, if you would, about the Vegan Society of the District of Columbia.
Sure. Okay. Well, the Vegetarian Society of D.C., VSDC, we are an all-volunteer nonprofit, and we were founded in 1927. So we are actually the oldest local-based existing vegetarian society in North America.
Is that so? Wow, 1927?
Yes, exactly. So, yep, the oldest, and, we are all volunteer, and we do about 5 to 7 events per month, and they vary. We do everything from educational and outreach events, where we try and, promote all the great reasons why people should choose to be vegan today, to monthly restaurant visits. We have a monthly book club. We have some special emphasis groups, like the African American Networking Group. We have the LGBTQ Veg Out Group. We have a children's play group. We do cooking classes, and then just trying to do good events and supporting some of our larger events, just to bring people together and build community. And really our goal is just to show people why it's fun, why it's so important for the world today, and why it's so easy to do, to become vegan in terms of our diet as well as in terms of our lifestyles.
And you wanted to tell us about the environment?
Sure. There's so many great reasons why people choose to be vegan today, and one of those is tying in, our food consumption and our production and its effect on the planet. And so I'm happy to talk about that if you'd like.
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, the way I look at it is that, we have to put a lot of things into our system of food production today, and that's in order to get food out. And what we put into it typically requires land, it requires energy, it requires food resources in to get the food resources out, as well as water. So those are some of the primary areas. And if you're going to use animals as a way to convert that into food, in quotes, if you will, then it's extremely wasteful and very inefficient. And so we have to put in so much more resources, or use so much more in terms of resources, in order to get far less out. So it's very inefficient. I'll give you an example. So for food resources, because you have to feed animals, and you have to give them water and other things in order to then in turn, slaughter them and then to use them for meat, you have to put in on average somewhere between 10 to 15 pounds of grain into the system in order to get 1 pound of meat, like say beef, from feedlot beef operations out. So if you think about it, that's 10 to 1 inefficiency or 15 to 1 inefficiency. And so we're putting so much more in terms of our food resources in to get very little out. Hopefully that's a good illustration of how inefficient this is. Does that make sense?
Oh, it certainly does make sense. And it makes sense as far as compassion goes.
Yeah. Now another thing, just talk about these resources, and I think compassion and the ethics behind being vegan are so powerful and so important. But if you just look at strictly the resource issue and the environmental impact of it, even water, we know that freshwater scarcity is such a big concern globally, and we use so much in terms of fresh water to generate that same, let's say, that 1 pound of beef that comes from feedlot operations. And so if you look at it, it's somewhere around, anywhere between 500, which is what the industry reports, to 2,500 gallons of water that we would use per pound of beef. And so that's enormous when you think of that amount. That could be someone's shower for 2 months or 3 months.
Yes.
An average shower, for example, for that 1 pound of beef. And the reason is because it's so inefficient. You have to grow all those plants. You have to basically provide water to the animals and all the cleaning and all that happens. And so if you look at it, that's probably 10 times, maybe even 14 times less efficient than if you were to use water to grow plants, and then the humans eat those plants directly rather than having to go through the animals. So it just shows you how wasteful it is, how inefficient it is, and just strictly from a resource perspective, it would be such an amazing thing if the world were to go more vegan ultimately vegan.
Good for you. And you know also, it's the amount of forests that have to be cut down for the grain fields.
Exactly, yeah. So, one of the biggest causes of deforestation today is the cutting down of rainforests and other woodlands in order to have fields to graze animals or to grow crops for those animals. And a lot of those crops also tend to be monoculture, like soy, and so it really also devastates the land. So as part of that equation of what we put into the system and what we get out, we also get out things that we weren't expecting. So things like the destruction of rainforests, it could be topsoil erosion, could be climate change and global warming, could be, just habitat loss. And so there's so many different factors that are involved in the system. Things we intended and we know we're going to get out, which is inefficient and wasteful, and then those things that we did not expect, which are also causing tremendous water pollution and air pollution and land pollution, and then harming so much of the natural environment.
And also when you take away our trees, you take away our oxygen that they breathe out for us.
Exactly. I mean, trees and forests are tremendous converters of carbon dioxide. They take in the carbon dioxide, which we know is being generated by so much human activity, and it converts that to oxygen, which is important for all the life forms on the planet to breathe. So cutting them down is like doubly harmful because we're losing that, and then by cutting them down and burning and all that, we're releasing more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So it's really just such a horrible cycle of events, all of which could be changed dramatically and very quickly as people learn and understand these issues and choose to eliminate animal products from their diets and lifestyles.
Oh, good. Tell us some of the activities of the Vegan Society of Washington, D.C.
Sure, okay. So like I said, we do about 5 to 7 events per month. And so our events range from these monthly events that are recurring, like the book club and the restaurant visits, and then the special emphasis groups, and of course the outreach and tabling. And some of our big events also include, say, the DC Veg Fest. We founded the DC Veg Fest back in 1997, and now it's grown to be an event that's now organized by our friends at Compassion Over Killing. And so now we've reached, last year, 2014, we had over 15,000 people who attended our DC Veg Fest.
Truly, 15,000 is a big number.
Huge, huge. We're so happy and so thrilled that so many people are coming to the event and learning and sharing, and not only learning, but also just experiencing, all the great food that's there, and everything from fantastic desserts, which people could never tell the difference, and are actually even healthier for you, to all the great food. And as we know that, a vegan diet also has no cholesterol in the food itself. It's high in fiber, it's high in so many phytonutrients and chemicals, and so people get to experience the food and see how great it tastes at the DC Veg Fest, which is coming up here actually October 3rd, Saturday, October 3rd this year.
And those are all the things that cause heart disease and cancer and diabetes and obesity.
Exactly, yeah. So, we're trying to put it into a way that's easy for people to do, so making it easier. So we also do these cooking classes. Of course, there are so many in the local area, but we also try and make them very affordable, very low cost. And so we show people very practical ways of how do you do it, along with some nutrition tips and information that help make it clear why it's so important for us to do. We also do a big Thanksgiving event. So every year, we have an event that's almost 300 people, anywhere between 250 and 350 people every year.
Oh, that's
and
marvelous.
It's on Thanksgiving Day itself. And so it's a completely vegan meal. It's a gourmet meal. And we work with the local hotel, the Hyatt Regency in Bethesda. And so we put that on every year. Of course, it has a guest speaker, there's music, and a lot of fun things. It's just really a positive event that brings people together on a day that's so, important and tied with food to kind of challenge that traditional view on what food is and how we can do it in a way that celebrates life. It's life-affirming. We call it our life-affirming Thanksgiving.
No cruelty Thanksgiving. Well, now just tell the people what where they can go for recipes.
Okay. Well, today, if you're online, if you have access to a computer and the internet, recipes are just a click away. And so there's just, with even Google, just different, sometimes it's really that will use the ingredients you actually have in your fridge. So I think it's just like a wonderful thing that we can do. But recipes are very easy. So many great websites. I would just Google, if you're interested in ethnic cuisines, to just Google, say, I'm Indian. I was born in India. And so if you wanted to try Indian dishes, maybe you want to Google something like, Indian dishes with chickpeas, for example. And they'll come up with, some wonderful recipes. And there are a lot of great cookbooks out there, too. And so you can get those from the public library. You can get things online. Of course, you can go to your local bookstore, maybe, a small locally owned bookstore and find great, books there on recipes. So, yeah, it's just amazing how much information is out there today.
I saw in the American Vegan Society magazine this summer that 5 new books have come out this summer on vegan.
Yeah, exactly. And isn't the American Vegan Society such a great organization? And you've known them for a long time, and have known, Freya and her husband Jay, who passed away, in 2000. I've known them since the early 90s, and Anne is a good friend. They do some great work, so I hope your viewers and listeners all look into the American Vegan Society, too.
And tell us now about, you're from India, and your religion was Jain, and that had something to do with your becoming vegan?
Yes. So I was raised in the Jain religion, and my parents are Jain as well. And so ever since birth, I was raised vegetarian, and that's a strong part of the fundamental principle of ahimsa, which translates to non-injury or non-violence. And so that's the first and foremost. And so my parents, being followers of the Jain religion, and their parents, and many, many generations back, were all been vegetarian. And I became vegan in 1991, and part of it was because I was also starting to understand what happens in our system of food production. And so this principle of ahimsa, which I think is really important to me, that I was raised with, also talks about, how we don't have to kill and don't have to harm other living beings for us to live. When I started learning what happens in our system of food production, I realized that being an ethical vegetarian may not be enough. And it's really important for us to try and not only reducing the harm, but also stopping future harm. And that's the animals that are being bred and maintained by our system of food production. And the cycle feeds itself. And so when I started learning more about that, that's why I decided that it's far more in line with my Jain values for me to become vegan than just to continue consuming, say, dairy products, because there's so much harm in the dairy industry and so much suffering and killing that goes on. Maybe sometimes your listeners or viewers may not even know about how the system of dairy production causes cows to actually be killed, rather than us thinking that we're just taking their milk, and of course the animals are living. Should I maybe talk about that a little bit more too?
And what they do to baby calves and take away their milk. It belongs to the calves, it doesn't belong to people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. And so of course an animal that's not human, gives milk, and of course only the females give milk for their own species. And so cow's milk is designed, of course, for baby cows.
Sure.
Calves.
And that's why it causes so many health problems.
Exactly. It's not designed for humans, but of course we take it because we can. And the animals are such, docile and wonderful animals that we actually exploit them and take their milk from them. But, one thing that I was thinking about, one of the main reasons why I went vegan is because, the law of averages says for every birth that happens, you have a 50% chance it's going to be male, 50% chance it's going to be female. And only the females in the cows are used for milk. So what happens on average for every dairy cow that we have, there has to have been one male cow that existed in the world in some way, right?
So sad.
And of
That's
course,
so
those
sad.
female cows don't lead any type of a wonderful life because they're killed at age 4 or 5 because we run them so hard that their milk production drops. And because the milk production drops at that age, the industry basically says, well, that's inefficient. We need to change out this 4 or 5-year-old kid to a younger cow, like a 2-year-old, who's going to have a higher milk production. So, of course, those animals are sent out for slaughter. And then the male calves that are born, the males that are born, they're either, killed right away because we don't really have good uses for that, or they're raised for beef, where they're living in horrible conditions for 4 months, where they don't even see sunlight and move, and they're killed as veal.
They're raised,
They're
they're raised for veal. They're raised for veal, yeah.
And so it's really, and of course, the cycle feeds itself because in order to drain insemination and breeding, and so the cows are just a commodity, a pure commodity in this whole system, and they're killing at age 4 or age 5 when they could, that's for females, when they could live to be age 20, right? Cows could live to be 20 years old very easily. And so we killed them. We killed them at a much earlier age because of our demand or interest in dairy products.
Oh, it's dreadful. It's so dreadful.
Yeah.
But listen, let me ask you this. I do think that things are getting better, though, don't you?
No, I do feel that the information is out there more. More people are aware of it, and they're learning about it. But globally, it's really sad because I think we're killing more animals than we've ever killed before. We're raising more animals than we've ever raised before. And so I think there are some ways we're becoming better organized. I think people are more open to this information. They're learning about all the wonderful benefits of it. So I think there's some great progress that's happening. And I'm an optimist. So for me, I feel like, this is an amazing thing. People want information. They want to learn about what's happening. They want to take care of themselves and the planet around them and all the other living beings that we're living with. So it's a great time, and I feel like great things are happening. But,
I think
is that we have a long ways to go.
Indeed. But I think we have come a long way. Now, I think Vegan Outreach really has a good program. They go to the young people in college, they follow the bands or the groups, and they go to the young people and they get a declaration from them that they will be vegan.
Yeah, they do a great job. They disseminate some really good literature, and like you said, they get out to all the college campuses to get to young people, and a lot of organizations are now doing that. There are many groups that are really saying, we should go where young people are because they're really questioning things, especially when they're high school and college age and just after that.
Yes.
And really reach to them through literature distribution and leafleting, and so it's a great approach. And I think, we have to make sure that it's complemented by, ways to ensure people stay, meat-free or better yet vegan, right? And we've had a lot of information now that shows that people may choose to go vegan and then they slide back or they regress, that recidivism number. And so I think it's a whole choreographed, coordinated movement that has to exist so that we can all make sure that we reach people early, we show them ways to continue it, they maintain themselves, they reaffirm it, they meet more people and build a community, which is why groups like the Vegetarian Society of DC are so critical, so absolutely important, because they build community and they reaffirm the values, and people can go to a place where they meet more people and learn from them too. So I think there are some great organizations throughout, and we just have to make sure that we're doing this in a full life cycle sense. So we're reaching people, we're empowering them to change, but then we're also reaffirming those values, making sure there's a community for them to reach into and be a part of that allows them to remain that way and feel good about it, and then go on and promote it in their own ways to their spheres of influence.
And I want to go back to the Jain religion. Now, it's also Christian folks that go to Genesis chapter 1, verse 29, and God says clearly to Adam and Eve what to eat. And that's vegetables, that's grain.
Right, and all the fruits.
Let me repeat that. It's Genesis, first chapter, verse 29. You shall be vegetarian.
Fantastic.
Now tell the folks about what's going on with that egg gag law.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good work being done trying to counter this, ag gag. And these are, I'm not as familiar with this. You'd have to talk to some other folks who are really working on that. The political process is something that I kind of work more with individuals on the demand side, and a lot of people work more in terms of that. That's an area that I don't get too involved in. But, there is legislation that's being put out there that makes it illegal for people to show what really happens in the food industry today in animal agriculture. And they're trying to make it more and more difficult for people to report on this, to get footage and undercover footage and all that. And they're trying to make it illegal to do that. So I think there are organizations working on fighting this type of legislation and making it more easy for the truth and information to be put out to the public.
They're ashamed of what they do. And they don't want you to know it.
And they're using their clout and their influence in order to pass laws which could be unconstitutional and obviously not in the best interests of the citizens.
Yeah, definitely. Now tell the folks what you had to eat yesterday.
What did I have to eat yesterday? Okay, so being Indian, I eat a lot of Indian food, especially on weekends, because I tend to travel a little more in a week. And so it was a typical Indian meal, a Gujarati Indian meal. And so it was roti, which is like a whole wheat flour. We mix it with some other flours to make it very healthy. So it's like the bread, the flat bread, the roti. And then on the vegetable dishes that accompany it, yesterday we had broccoli, seasoned with Indian spices. And so broccoli, and then brown rice and dal, which is a lentil-based dish. So you eat it with the dal, and it's kind of like a soup. And so you eat it with the rice. And so that, and of course, fresh salad, because I love all the fresh vegetables. And so tomatoes and cucumbers and kale, lettuce, and, a slight lemon juice, and spiced accordingly. So it's delicious. I love Indian food, and, it's one of the popular cuisines now.
I notice you're a good weight. Your weight is good.
Thank you. Yeah. We all try.
Yeah. Now, folks, I'll tell you what I had yesterday. I had corn on the cob, and I had fresh raspberries, a banana, a clementine, and then I had, did you ever hear of flax cereal? Flax. Yeah, flax seeds with soy milk. And then peanut butter on crackers with orange juice. And then a nut fruit shake that consists of cashews, banana, pineapple, and oats, all blended into a beautiful shake. And then the last thing was granola. What do you think of that? Was that a good vegan meal?
Yeah, Glenda, that's why you're so healthy, is because you eat so well.
Yeah, 87 years old, no doctors and no medicines.
Look at that, that's amazing. Well, good for you. You reminded me of something I had yesterday. I had also a green shake, and so what I did was I blended up. I have a Vitamix. I finally bought a Vitamix, and I took some kale, I took collard greens, and I didn't use any mustard greens yesterday because I couldn't find it in the store, but then I put in apples, grapes, and lemon juice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so that turned to be delicious. I try not to keep it too sweet, but you can always add in more, like you do berries and other fruits, and you can get it to whatever consistency if you want to add in soy milk or almond or something like that. And so those are all great.
Excellent. And now in the 3 or 4 minutes left, what do you want to tell the folks about veganism?
Laura, I would just say that it's a great thing for me. It's been a wonderful thing for me, and everyone that I talk to, I love to leaflet, I like to get out and talk to people, and I feel that, people are looking for information, and they want to know how do they make life better for themselves and their families. I think there's probably no better choice that we can make as a society, individuals in society, than to actually eliminate animal products from our diets and our lifestyle, and to bring in all these foods that you mentioned that you eat, and that most of us eat, which are the fruits, whole fruits, vegetables, whole grains, supplemented with nuts and seeds, trying to be a little lower in fat, and it's just such an amazing thing. And also, it's so easy to do today. If you look out, you go to the regular stores, you're even going to see so many products and such a variety of things. And people always think, well, I have to eliminate, I have to get rid of stuff that I'm eating. It's so hard for me. Maybe I don't take it either. But it's so easy because your world opens up. And you see all of this, new choices that you have, fruits and vegetables and grains, and so many things, and spices. And so I think it really opens up a whole world of things for people when they make this choice. It's not limiting. It's actually expanding. And it's so easy to do today. The recipes are there, the support is there, the information of why we should do things are there. Just a great thing to do overall. And I'm just so glad that there are people like you who are out there promoting this, and so many organizations like the Vegetarian Society of DC, groups on the ground, really, really talking to people and getting the information out, because that information is hidden so much society, by other groups and vested interests and all that, that we need these balancing forces. And so I thank you for doing all the things you do, in addition to making sure that, preserving the rights of public access TV, and that is so important, Linda. And when I read about that and you're doing that, I thought, wow, amazing person. So thank you, and I hope your readers and viewers all, go out and look at these reasons more and become just energized by it, because I certainly am, and everyone that I meet tends to be just so happy with this whole decision they made.
Well, I thank you back. You really made us feel good. You really inspired us. And remember, folks, too, there's vegan cat and vegan dog, all kinds. And the secret there is nutritional yeast. So thank you so much. Will you come again and tell us more?
Absolutely. I would love to, Glendora, and thank you, and good luck. And thanks to all of your viewers and your listeners.
And God be with us all. Amen. Bye-bye.